is probably not the best angle for me, but oh well. Hi guys, I am here to do a reading vlog, reading my advanced reader copy of Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. I'm hoping by the time you see this, it will already be out, because it is on the flyer that came with the ARC when I got it in the mail. It says it's supposed to go on sale on May 16th, so I'm hoping to have this vlog ready by then. We will see, but hopefully by the time that you see this, this will already be out. This is a Fractalverse novel, and from what I am able to see, it is kind of a prequel to To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I'm hoping that's the case, because I have yet to read To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. It's just a super chunky boy, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And I am not the biggest reader of sci-fi novels, so I am trying to kind of ease myself into reading more sci-fi. But I'll just read what the synopsis says on the back. It says, "Our future has begun. July 25th, 2234, the crew of the Admira discovers the anomaly. On the seemingly uninhibited planet Talos the Seventh, a circular pit 50 kilometers wide, its curve not of nature but design. Now a small team must land and journey on foot across the surface to learn who built the hole and why. But they all carry the burdens of lives carved out on disparate colonies and the cruel cold of space. For some, the mission is the dream of a lifetime, for others a risk not worth taking, and for one it is a desperate attempt to find meaning in an uncaring universe. Each step they take towards the mysterious abyss is more punishing than the last, and the ghosts of their past follow." So it says, "A new blockbuster science fiction adventure from a worldwide phenomenon and #1 New York Times bestseller, Christopher Paolini, set in the world of the New York Times and U.S. Today's bestseller, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars." It is set as an adult. It's 304 pages. And that's what the hardcover is going to be in length, and it will retail for $28.99 US and $38.99 in Canadian. So I got this from Tor Publishing, so thank you, Tor, for giving me the opportunity. And I've had this for a couple of months now, because I have been wanting to wait for the perfect time to pick it up. And let me tell you, when I had opened this book, I was so confused because I didn't remember ordering anything from the publisher. So when I opened it, I'm like, I didn't order a book. And then I saw that it was an ARC for Christopher Paolini's book, because I love the inheritance cycle from him. So I started screaming internally. I was standing outside on my front porch when I opened it, and I did not want to cause a scene in my neighborhood. But I called Jordan to tell him that I got my very first physical ARC, and he could hear in my voice was shaking how excited I was to receive this. So I am super stoked to start this. I am one of those readers that has multiple books going on at the same time. I used to not be like that, but I'm starting to turn into my mother. So we'll see how long this will take me with reading. It's not a very long book, so I'm hoping it will fly by, but we will see, and I am super excited to jump into this.
And the best match them up, and you look like you wanna stop me too, and I don't care, 'cause you're too hot, and we're both lonely.
Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick update about where I've gotten to. in Fractal Noise, I have gotten to the part of the book where they have landed on the alien planet and they are going to investigate what the possible cause of the very symmetrical hull is and why it's radiating the EMP. And they're also taking like samples of the planet and stuff like that. I believe that the crew that the main character is on is part of a crew that's doing the surveying for like a commercial use or colonization kind of thing. It's been pretty interesting so far. It is heavily science terms when it comes to that, so a good bit of it is kind of going over my head, unfortunately, but I'm still enjoying the writing nonetheless. The way that Christopher Paolini's writing is, it's really easy to kind of digest, and it's going pretty quickly for me. I am on page 72 right now, and each chapter is kind of broken up into sections. So it's easy to kind of like, if I wanted to read a section here and there, it's easy to kind of pick up with, and it's really potato chippy in that way too, because once like one section is done, that's like maybe about a page and a half long, you kind of want to keep going to see what progress that they're making. And with the main character, you're starting to learn a little bit more about and grief that he is handling with the death of his wife, and how it is affecting his choices and making him make certain choices because he is wanting to live his life the way that his wife would originally wanted him to do, or like it wanted to experience for herself, and since she's not around to experience it, he is wanting to kind of do that for her in a way. It is definitely showing a good light of how grief is handled when it is a spouse that has passed. I really do appreciate that, because I saw how, growing up, how grief was handled with my loved ones when it comes to their significant others passing, so I can appreciate it's definitely reflecting with what I know of loss in a family happens, so I definitely appreciate that. And just by the way that the writing is in this book, I can see myself easily picking up To Sleep in a Sea of Stars not too long after finishing this. It might not be directly after finishing this, because we all know how I am when it comes to actually getting around to reading certain books, but I am really enjoying it, and considering it's a sci-fi that I don't read a whole lot of sci-fi, I'm pleasantly surprised.
You cheated, and you smashed my dishes too. And I don't mind, just wanna be with you, and I don't care.
Okay, so it has been a bit since I last really did a update, except for like last night, but yeah. Sorry, I had to yell at the cat. But yeah, Wichita came and went. I was more trying to get wrapped up with all the other books that I had going on, so I didn't get really much read in Fractal Noise for the month of May, and the release date has come and gone, but I did a like real short for that, so it's not too big of a deal, but I am still going to be chugging along with reading this. I am on page 95 of it right now. They are on the planet going towards the what they think is a manufactured hole in the planet to do some testing. So it's just a journey getting to it, because they have to they had to land on the planet farther away from the hole because it is sending out EMPs, and if they get too close, then all of the technology that they have will like be useless, just be hunks of metal. So they have to land outside of that area and then travel to it to be able to like take samples and measurements and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's as far as I'm getting into it so far. I dyed my hair last night, so that's gonna account for the color change. And I cut it too, which I am feeling 100% more better about it. My hair is thick, and you don't realize how thick your own hair is until you go to try to cut it yourself with not the greatest pair of scissors. So that was a journey, and I had to have Jordan help me kind of even out the back of it, make sure I was getting everything. But yeah, I really like it. I am now going to be watching some YouTube in the morning as my just morning routine. I do need to do some yoga, but I think I'm going to just do yoga on Wednesdays just to kind of like keep that routine. I have a terrible time of trying to start a routine and then something happens and then I am completely thrown off of it. So I am going to just try to stick with Wednesdays doing yoga. Hopefully I can stick with at least with that. But yeah.
And we're both lonely. And we're both alone.
Is it that obvious? Are you curious? I like the sound of you. Won't you get me alone? Why don't you take me home? Playing too hard, perfect timing. I don't care long as you are driving. I want you to the left of my bed. Don't care if it's right, say my bad, say my bad.
And we're both lonely. And we're both alone.
So I am just a little bit past the 200 page mark, actually like 201, and it is starting to get really starting to get pretty interesting and really heated in this group. You're really starting to see how people's mental state will start breaking down after a long trip like this that is taking a major toll mentally and physically on their body, and how they start to turn on each other during this time as well. It's really interesting to see, and I'm getting really sucked in. Okay, you guys, we have come to the end of the reading vlog because I finally finished Fractal Noise after reading it on and off for the last few months now, it seems like. But this is definitely one of those types of books that I feel like I needed to give time to, because with me not being much of a sci-fi reader, I felt like I needed to kind of let everything kind of settle and take my time through this. I definitely had tabbed quite a bunch. This is definitely going to be a spoiler vlog because I definitely spoiled some parts in the middle of it, but it just really, the last like 50 or 150 pages really showed the downward spiral of everybody's mental health, and shows how effects on being in an isolated planet with people that you don't normally get contact with and don't get along with, and seeing the consequences of those kind of spiraling. And there's a lot of moments where I was kind of like, oh shit too, and not expecting things to happen. People died, and very kind of like graphic, well, not super graphic, but it was pretty gory, just based on mine, because I can't handle too much gore without getting kind of squeamish. I thought it was handled really well, even though I did kind of have to speed read through that part just to make sure I didn't get too sick, but seeing how the main character, while he's on this trip going towards the alien-made hole, showing how his mental health and his physical health is going downhill as he is on this trip, and he is forced to kind of deal with the grief of losing his wife, and how he kind of just spirals and compartmentalize the mission over, or making it the mission more important than his grief. That is the way he's handling his grief, is trying to ignore it and just focus on this mission that he knows his wife would be wanting to go on and discover all this stuff. So this is how he is, I guess, handling and honoring her memory, but he is also going through this to his own detriment, and his body is pretty much deteriorating along with the mind of everybody else in this. And just the way that it was handled is, I believe, is well done. So I highly recommend it. As someone who doesn't read a whole lot of sci-fi, this is definitely something that I can see myself picking up in the future, and I am interested in picking up To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Might not be directly after this, but I do see myself picking it up in the future and seeing how that world continues, like from this, with this being the prequel in that universe. So I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on a copy. Definitely, it is published by Tor, so it is out now as I'm recording this. It's been out for a good like month and a half maybe, but I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars overall. There were some parts where it was heavy in the science fiction terms, but there is an appendix in the back that it goes over all of that information. So if you feel like it gets a little too much, you can kind of go through and look at that terminology. I didn't look at it until when I got to the very end, but I can see myself in a reread in the future if I am struggling again, using that as a reference. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Thank you so much, you guys, for your patience as I got through this vlog, as I'm just kind of dealing with life stuff as it comes. And like this video if you like these types of kind of like review vlogs. Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, you guys.
Lonely. Too high, too high, too high.